world. Darwin hoped that transitional forms of animal species gradually evolving into different species would eventually be discovered at some future time in the fossil record. To this day, however, no such transitional forms have ever been found anywhere in the world. Darwin's observations regarding natural selection and adaptation were certainly correct. So-called microevolution of various traits and characteristics within a species has been confirmed and widely exists. But macroevolution, the supposed transformation from one species into a completely different species, has never been observed, and no evidence of such evolution exists anywhere in the fossil record. Colin Patterson, senior paleontologist for the British Museum of Natural History and an ardent evolutionist, even he admits that Darwinists must concede natural selection has never been observed to actually cause anything to evolve. He said, "No one has ever produced a species by mechanism of natural selection. No one has ever got near it, and most of the current argument in neo-Darwinism is about this question." Harun Yahya wrote, "Even in the most scientific books about evolution, the stage of transition from water to land, one of the unexplainable points of evolution, is given in such simplicity that they do not prove to be believable even for children. According to evolution, life began in water, and the first developed animals on Earth were fish. According to the story, one day fish species developed the ability to climb out of the water and moved on land. The theory continues that fish which chose to live on land had feet instead of fins, and lungs instead of gills. In most of the books about evolution, nobody explains why the transition occurred. Even in the most scientific sources, writers suddenly jump to conclusions like, 'and transition from water to land occurred,' without providing a satisfactory answer regarding how the process worked. Yet, how did this transformation occur? It is obvious that a fish cannot survive out of water for more than 1 or 2 minutes. If we assume that a drought really existed, as claimed by evolutionists, and fish were for some reason drawn to lands, then what would happen to fish even if this process lasts for 10 millions of years? The answer is straight. Fish leaving the water would inevitably die in a few moments. Even if this process lasted for 10 million years, the answer would still be the same. All fish would die one by one. Nobody would dare say, 'Maybe after 4 million years some of the fish suddenly acquired lungs while they were trying to survive.' This would no doubt be an illogical assertion. However, that is exactly what evolutionists claim. The theory of evolution supposes that life somehow originated and evolved in the sea until somehow something that had theretofore lived only underwater grew lungs and feet and started living on land. Darwinists claim fish, creatures living only underwater, turned into amphibians, creatures living on both land and water, and then amphibians evolved into reptiles, creatures living only on land. Then they propose some reptiles evolved wings and became birds, while other reptiles evolved and became mammals. None of these transitional forms have ever been found, however, nor could they realistically exist either. For example, amphibian eggs develop only in water, whereas amniotic eggs develop only on land, so some sort of gradual step-by-step evolution scenario is impossible, since without perfect, complete eggs, a species cannot survive. Reptiles, allegedly evolving into mammals, is another example of evolutionist wishful thinking. Reptiles are cold-blooded, lay eggs, do not suckle their young, have 1 middle ear bone, 3 mandible bones, and bodies covered in scales, whereas mammals are warm-blooded, have live births, suckle their young, have 3 middle ear bones, 1 mandible, and are covered in fur or hair. Far too many distinct differences for gradual evolution. Reptiles evolving wings is another sheer impossibility, as the structure of land-dwelling reptiles and air-dwelling birds are far too different. Engin Qurer, a Turkish evolutionist, admits the problem wings present to Darwin's theory. The common trait of the eyes and the wings is that they can only function if they are fully developed. In other words, a halfway developed eye cannot see. A bird with half-formed wings cannot fly. How these organs came into being has remained one of the mysteries of nature that needs to be enlightened. Harun Yahya wrote, "Although it is cloaked in the guise of science, the theory of evolution is nothing but a deceit defended only for the benefit of materialistic philosophy. a deceit based not on science but on brainwashing propaganda and fraud. The theory of evolution is a theory that fails from the very first step. The reason is that evolutionists are unable to explain even the formation of a single protein. Neither the laws of probability nor the laws of physics and chemistry offer any chance for the fortuitous formation of life. Does it sound logical or reasonable, when not even a single chance-formed protein can exist, that millions of such proteins combined in order to produce the cell of a living thing, and that billions of cells manage to form and then come together by chance to produce living things, and that from them generated fish, and that those that passed to land turned into reptiles, birds, and that this is how all the millions of different species on Earth were formed? They have never found a single transitional form such as a half-fish, half-reptile, or half-reptile, half-bird, nor have they been able to prove that a protein, or even a single amino acid molecule composing a protein, could have formed under what they call primordial Earth conditions. Not even in their elaborately equipped laboratories have they succeeded in doing that. Darwin's theory is a concept that concerns not only biology, chemistry, astronomy, and metaphysics, but actually formed the basis for a new political outlook as well. Within a very short time, this new progressive political attitude was redefined as social Darwinism, and as many historians have suggested, social Darwinism became the ideological basis of fascism, communism, and eugenics. Darwin's idea of natural selection and survival of the fittest were central to the insane ideologies of many of the 20th century's worst mass murderers, including Mao, Stalin, Lenin, Trotsky, Marx, and Pol Pot. Charles Darwin himself was a blatant racist who elucidated in his book The Descent of Man how blacks and aborigines, due to their inferiority to Caucasians, would be done away with by the civilized races in time.